Here's something I've been waiting for probably 3 years. I'm trying to remember when I actually paid for this, but this just arrived in the mail today. This is Compass Games On to Paris, designed by, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Milan, maybe? Milan Bekvar? Probably butchered it, but he's been very involved on the Compass forums and in the On to Paris forum on Consum World in terms of what the status of the design is. And this was one that was delayed for quite some time because he wanted to work on some of the elements of it. So his efforts have finally paid off, and the game is released and has shipped, and I now have a copy of it in my hot little hand. So I wasn't expecting it until after Thanksgiving, to be honest, but I was surprised when it showed up today, and it is, frankly, a very gorgeous package. The cover, I'm already a huge fan of. I was a fan of it when it was shown several years ago. Great artwork, great font, very, late 19th century look to the font and everything, so I kind of like that. Unfortunately, as with all Compass designs, it's kind of marred by the Compass branding, which is massive and fairly intrusive. It just, this brand mark looks like something on, like a 1990s computer game or something. Just not the greatest graphic design on the Compass Games logo, and it's also huge and just sucks up the bottom portion of every box that it's on. So anyway, though, enough complaining about Compass. They do produce a lot of good games, a number of games that I've enjoyed, so certainly I don't have a problem with the company, but I do kind of have a problem with the graphic design of their logo. So, on the back of the box, you get the typical images of the map and the counter sheets. Let's take a look inside. And this is also fairly a nice sturdy box. Some of the Compass Games box, the older ones, felt thinner than this. I don't know why this one felt heavier. Maybe because it's got more stuff in it. And it's got a lot of stuff in it. Dice, keeping with the colorful theme, red and yellow. And as is typical now for the Compass Games rulebooks, full color. Very nice. And this one is pretty thick too. We're looking at 63, technically 64 pages, including the index. So you don't even get to the combat rules until page 46. So interesting, given that, from what I understand, the sort of engine that this game runs on, or the design that this game runs on, was based on, was the design of the old Victory Games. If I can find it here on my shelf, it is right at the beginning of the Victory Games library there. The old Victory Games Civil War title. So that was one of the reasons that I opted to purchase it, was because I'm a huge fan of the Victory Games Civil War title. So, but that rulebook is not 64 pages, so I'm curious to see what this is padded with. But anyway, lovely full color rulebook on good matte finish paper, not that glossy stuff. And then you've got a playbook, again also full color. This would be all of your different setup and lots of scenarios here. Eight scenarios. Yep, that's a lot. And you got your designer notes, chronology of the war, goes on for many pages. An example of play at the end. So then you've got another 56 pages in the playbook. So this is didn't think this was a monster, but it's got monster-sized. Oh, there's an extra die hiding in there, a blue one. I would think it would be red, white, and blue for the French, but I don't know why they yellowed out of there. Anyway, and there are a ton of player aid cards in here. So we have your Prussian Army card and a good heavy stock full color. And this is something cool I noticed in the back of these. It's got histories of each of the armies that are on there. This is the kind of stuff that I love in a war game, where they include these little details of the historical background of what you're actually fighting the war with. Here we have the sequence of play and the combat sequence. And it's funny how on the camera screen this shows up pretty legibly as sequence of play and combat sequence, but I have to say in person these headers are very difficult to read based on the red color with the gold outline and then a drop shadow on them. So they're actually fairly difficult to read. I love the font, but in that color scheme, not the most legible. On the back here, we've got like special effects and things like that. So you got determining a victor in combat, fall of the empire, and retreat rules and so forth. So this is nice to have your sequence of play and your combat sequence on one player aid. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is the only one in here or not. Let's see. Here's your French Army card as a correspondent to the Prussian Army card that we saw. Same thing here too. It's got the histories of each one. So here we've got the Prussian Corps card doing your Corps strength point tracks. So if you think of victory games, Civil War, where you had your strength point tracks for your different armies, this kind of functions as that same thing. And then here's leaders. Histories of your Prussian leaders, which again, just awesome that this kind of historical detail is included in here, especially for something as relatively ungamed as the Franco-Prussian War. Here we've got the French Corps card, and this is just like the Prussian one. These are your strength points for all the French corps. As you can see, there's a lot more French corps than Prussian corps, and same thing here, your leaders. French histories, leaders. So, interesting thing is here I got 2 of these French Corps cards. That may be a mistake. I will need to look at the inventory list probably in the rules manual and see if 2 of these were supposed to be included, because the information on them is identical. So I may just got an extra there. Hopefully I got an extra one of those instead of extra one of those as opposed to one that was thrown in that should have been something else. So we'll see. We'll check the inventory. Here's your Prussian Force Pool card, which is your available leaders, available forces, and then some various special things like assault doctrine penalty, and then the reinforcement schedule. Also very nice to have something like this on a play aid, and again similar to what Victory Games Civil War does, where it's got all the reinforcements listed on the map. And then, same thing here. This is very similar to VG's Civil War, where you've got various leaders and available forces boxes to keep things in. And then on the back of this one, you've got more Prussian leaders. So great use of all the different play aids of including those cool historical tidbits. Here's the French Force Pool card. Again, your available leaders, available forces, your reinforcement schedule here. And again, more special rule type stuff for the particular side. And then in the back, more French leader histories. And then this looks like just another kind of generic play aid. It's got your siege process and surrender process, your fortifications chart. On the back, we've got what constitutes an automatic victory and your victory point tabulations. So kind of a generic player aid here. We've got another one of the player aid charts. This is your action cost table, command point table, and this is a fold-over sheet here. So also got your supply chart, rail hexes, type rail movement type stuff, control, various charts. So it looks like there's some rule summaries in these charts too, in addition, or on these cards too, in addition to just charts. Your reaction process, reaction modifiers. So this kind of stuff is very good to have on a chart, as opposed to different movement rules and stuff, as opposed to having to look it up in the rules. Hey, let's put the commonly referred to stuff on a chart. So here's terrain effects, more movement rules, ZOI ranges, so zone of influence maybe. That's all I can think of. Anyway, that's the first of these, and then we have another one of these foldovers. So lots of charts in this game, lots of rules reminders. So here we've got the artillery resolution table, different artillery factors. So this is all your artillery fire related stuff. Looks like combat charts here. Battle impact, check for leader loss. Yeah, so all your different combat tables. Defender battle impact, attacker battle impact, attacker failure, defender failure. So the only drawback here, here's your CRT. It doesn't look complicated at all, does it? Your only drawback to this is that you've got two of these foldover charts, but only one for the whole game. So you don't have two of these. You don't have one of these for each player, unfortunately. So you'll have to make do passing your charts back and forth or making photocopies of them. Whatever you need to do to make it work. Here are the counter sheets. And so compass counters, not always the best quality counters. The die cutting sometimes a little sketchy on compass, although these look to be okay. Although you may have an opinion on the graphics of these. I'm not particularly bothered by it. They are pretty bright, and some of them, you get into some really small and not exactly legible font. You can see it here right up on the camera, but trying to read these on the table from far away, not so much. So we'll see how they play in practice, but very, very colorful. And one of the dangers to having this colorful counter, with the tricolor, that's great thematically, but I can't imagine these are going to be very easy to read from the table. So again, we'll see. I always applaud bold design decisions when it comes to counters. On the other hand, I'm a huge fan of Redmond Simonson from SPI, who was very much of a, and part of that was because of the era, but was much more minimalist design. Not a lot of bright colors, just because they couldn't have a lot of bright colors, but very, very focused on what was the most functional, and yet finding a line between functionality and aesthetics. So these are, definitely going more for aesthetics and certainly less for functionality. So, and then lots of yellow. Looks like the strength point counters are yellow. For the Germans, which kind of strange. I don't know why you wouldn't pick white. You can see for the French counters they picked blue for the strength point counters. It makes sense. I don't know why you wouldn't go white here, because the German colors are black, white, and red. So, but they went yellow. So there you go. Got a lot of yellow backgrounded strength counters and so forth. So, but again, in here with the German ones, I just don't know how easy it's going to be to read those from a distance. So, anyway, we've got maps here. Let's see if we've got some room to lay these out on the table. Actually are not all that large. Let's see how this actually fits. Upside down, that's why. Get these roughly laid together while you're looking at blank table. Okay. And I don't know if I have my lights, all my spotlights pointed quite in the right direction. Let's do this. So, again, the map also very colorful, like the counters. So I think the counters in the map will work very well and give you this kind of colorful look to them. But there you can see you've got your title there, your off-map boxes. Terrain key. I do like the fact that the terrain key is huge and easily legible. And again, from a design standpoint, all your fonts match. Everything looks well matched. So you got your different records tracks and so forth. Naval invasion track. There's your general records track. So it doesn't have quite the awesome level of tracking that that the VG Civil War had. And so as a result, though, the map isn't quite as big, so that's good. But it is two maps, but two kind of like half maps. I don't know why this was done as two maps when this is, just the size of one typical, like whatever it is, 22 by 37 map, or 22 by 24, or whatever they are. A typical size map, but this is actually split into two maps, even though really, that's the equivalent of a one mapper. When you look at my tables here, I've got the two, like the IKEA modular tables. Each one of those tables would hold a normal one mapper. So you can see one of those covers one table, and yet it's two maps. So interesting choice there. But, if one of those scenarios you're playing only needs one of these maps, then, that's good on Compass to provide the smaller maps like that. Although, they could have printed it on one, and if you had a terrain or a scenario that just used one of the maps, you could just fold it over. So anyway, interesting choice there, but I won't question it too much, mainly because I'm just happy to have the game. So anyway, there you have a look at the contents of On to Paris. I will read the rules and start playing this as soon as I possibly can, and I will start posting videos of playthroughs shortly.